Cat Days by Griffin Rose on AO3. Episode 18, Chapter 3, Izuku, the Social Butterfly. He found Todoroki outside, leaning against a tree and still lost in thought. Morphing into a cat, he jumped onto Todoroki's shoulder and nuzzled his cheek. Todoroki let out a breathy huff, the closest to a laugh Izuku had ever heard from him. "What are you doing?" Izuku meowed and headbutted him again. Todoroki idly reached up to scratch Izuku's head. "Is it weird when people pet you? You never seem to mind." If Izuku thought about it long, it was absolutely, but it also felt delightful, and he wasn't about to make people stop. But no matter how good it felt, if he wanted to have an actual conversation, he needed to be human. He jumped off Todoroki's shoulder, neatly morphing mid-air and landing on his feet. "What was that about?" Todoroki asked. "You looked like you needed cheering up." Izuku beamed at him. "I'm fine," Todoroki said, face shuddering. He crossed his arms and looked away. Izuku leaned against a tree next to him. "You've been thinking about something awfully hard." "Just trying to figure out stuff." "About using your left side?" Todoroki looked at him in surprise. Izuku covered his mouth to hide his giggle. "You keep staring at your hand. It's not hard to put together." Sighing, Todoroki nodded. "You said before, it was like I was letting him have control. But if I use it, it'll be like, just like him. I don't know what to do." "You could never be Endeavor if you tried," Izuku stated firmly, leaning forward to make eye contact. "Todoroki, your quirk is so much more than your father's. You're so much more than he is. You think a cat would never jump on Endeavor's shoulder?" "There's usually flames up there, so no." Izuku rolled his eyes. "His whole personality is a dumpster fire. That's enough for cats to stay away." Todoroki snorted. "I think you should use your left side," Izuku said, leaning back again. "If you use it on your own terms, you're showing that he has no power over you." "But he wants me to use it, so it feels like giving in," Todoroki said. Izuku hummed. "Fuck him." Todoroki's head snapped to him. Izuku grinned. "I don't think you really want to live your life based on what does or doesn't make him happy. Personally, I think you should pretend he doesn't exist most of the time, and just do what you want to do." Todoroki blinked, and slowly looked forward again, considering it. "I get what you're saying, but it's easier said than done." "Yeah, most things usually are," Izuku agreed. "But I'm here, if you need me, and so is everyone else." "Thank you, Midoriya, for everything." "You're welcome." They let the silence surround them, a calm blanket to comfort them. Todoroki was lost in thought again, and he didn't seem as lost and alone as before. He sat down on the ground, and Izuku morphed into a cat again and curled up in his lap until lunch was over. Listen, cats were great emotional support, and it made Todoroki happy. It had nothing, absolutely nothing to do with the above-average temperature of Todoroki's left side. Nothing. The third round was one of won battles. Izuku was the first match, battling Shinso Hitoshi from 1C. He wondered if his dad and Sashi could see him bouncing with excitement from the commentator's booth. Shinso glared at him when they stepped into the ring. Izuku jumped at the chance. "It's so good to see you again. I've been worried, and you have to believe me. I wasn't trying to pull a prank on you. You looked like you needed a friend." "Start!" Pressing mouth announced. "Do you ever stop talking?" Shinso asked. "Sorry, I just wanted to explain." His words cut off as a fog covered his mind. Shinso grunted. "Walk out of bounds." Why would he do that? Then he'd be disqualified. He couldn't lose that easily in his first match. He also couldn't make his body listen to him. It was like his feet were glued in place. Shinso's eyes narrowed. "What's wrong? I told you to walk out of bounds." The fog in his mind passed him, and he took an absorbed step back. There was something wrong. He was used to his thoughts getting jumbled when he morphed. It took him a while to adapt to different animals, something because their thought process were so different, and trying to focus in their bodies was challenging. It was why he preferred not to be an insect if he could help it. Their short-term memory was hell to getting anything done. This felt like something in between all of that, like he was mentally stuck mid-morph. His thoughts weren't quite human, weren't quite animal. The headache it was causing made him want to puke. Shinso stepped forward. Walk out of bounds. He tripped over his own feet, turning around, and crashed to his knees. When Izuku could think again, he was going to analyze the hell out of this quirk. For now, he settled for ending the headache. Since he couldn't move, he tried morphing, looking for anything that would help. He morphed halfway to a cat before it aborted and shifted him back to human, trembling and gaping. The fog was gone, though. What the hell? Shinso asked. You shouldn't have been able to do that. The bright sun was killing Izuku's eyes. The fog might have been gone from his mind, but his headache was still there. He didn't trust a morph right now, not with his thoughts this scattered. So, with a roar, Izuku turned back and charged Shinso. He needed to show off his hand-to-hand combat some point today anyways. Might as well do it now. He had Shinso out of the ring not even a minute later. He wanted to stick his head in a bucket of ice. Maybe Todoroki would freeze him if he asked nicely. Shinso glared at him from the ground. Tell me, how did you break the brainwashing? Izuku did not currently have the words to explain the difference in his brain compared to others because of his morphing. Not when he couldn't even see straight right now. He shushed Shinso instead and said, later. And he staggered to the tunnel, where the fluorescent lights almost made him pass out. He passed Todoroki on his way out. Todoroki gave him a chuck of ice to press his head, and subtly waved over to the medbots. He cradled the ice against the back of his eyes, all the way to Recovery Girl's temporary office. She couldn't do much for quirk effects like this, but she gave him painkillers. He missed Todoroki's first match against Zero, which is apparently quite a short one. There was a delay before the next one because of the actual glacier Todoroki made. By the time he could leave Recovery Girl, he couldn't find where Todoroki had snuck off to, so he went to the 1A booth to cheer on his other friends. Kaminari lost to a girl from 1B, and then Tenya faced off against Mei. He was a good sport, helping her show off her inventions, but Izuku couldn't help the secondhand embarrassment at watching Mei toy with his best friend like that, and then she willingly walked out of bounds. Well, Uraraka said, at least Ida still wins. Izuku would never want to win like that, but Uraraka had a point. Tenya could prove himself in the next match. Hashiro beat Ayamama in the next match, and then it was Yariozu versus Koda. Koda put up a good fight. All the birds he has to hang out around answered his call, coming down to swoop at Yariozu and try to force her out of bounds. Even Izuku, still kind of messed up from his match, nearly answered Koda's call. Uraraka and Tsuyu had to grab his shirt when he attempted to jump onto the stands to help. In the end, Yariozu created a cannon and shot Koda out of the ring only seconds before the birds pushed her out. The next match between Kirishima and his twin in 1B promised to be a long one, so Izuku napped on Tenya and let the headache medication do its thing. After that, Uraraka put in an incredible fight against Bakugo. For a while, Izuku thought she might even win, but then Bakugo blasted through a finishing move, and she ran out of stamina. It was disappointing, but she had fought hard. Then it was time for his match against Todoroki. The second he stepped into the area, he knew something was wrong with his friend. It felt like the beginning of the year all over again. Todoroki was creating a predatory aura so strong it made Izuku want to run. What could have possibly happened between lunch and now? Okay, still absolutely no, notes. Again, I know what's gonna happen. I kind of don't really remember what happens here. Has he fought Shinso here? I don't know. If he does, I want to see that plan out. I think the Todoroki thing already happened. It mentions lunch, so I think friend group thinks it's a Todeku. Todeku. Clearly, the friend group did not read the tags. As always, my raindrops, make sure to eat, sleep, drink water, take your meds. Have a wonderful day or night. Link to my Discord server and socials are down in the description. Subscribe to see more of my content, and thank you so much for watching.